Just invite your body into a rooted seat, allowing your sit bones to settle a little bit more heavily into the support beneath you. And as your sit bones root down, invite your spine to lengthen up. And feeling in your mind's eye this stacking of vertebrae over vertebrae. The elongation that occurs between your vertebrae. Feel your chin drawing ever so slightly inwards to invite an alignment between your neck and your spine. Into this space, invite a full and deep inhale. Soft and complete exhale. And as you exhale, invite all of the other muscles in your body to soften, to relax. See if you can keep your focus here simply on the experience of breathing. Feel that inherent boost of energy that's available to you with each inhale. That sensation of softening and relaxing with each exhale. Allow here for your thoughts to simply be background noise. It gets tuned out. Let each breath be an invitation to come more fully into this present moment. Next, we'll invite the sound of Om. Seal our intention for our practice, the transition into our physical yoga practice. Invite your palms to join towards each other in Anjali Mudra. Let your next inhale prepare you to Om if you choose to join in. Om. Inhale here. Find a gentle retention of your breath inwards at the top of your inhale. As you exhale, bring both hands back down to your lap. Invite your eyes to open if they've been closed. We'll begin with a simple seated cat and cow. So if, like me, you've been cross-legged for a little bit here, you might choose to reverse the cross of your legs. If you are seated on something that's lifting your hips up, you're welcome to continue with that seat that's lifting your hips or to shift it out of your way. With your hands cupping your kneecaps, roll your shoulders towards each other. Begin to lean your low back in. Pull your chin up. Exhale, round inwards. Press out through your shoulder blades. Tuck your chin in. Let yourself wave and move here, following your breath's guidance. Each inhale, an invitation to lengthen forward, broadening your back body, stretching the front of your throat. Each exhale, rounding inward, stretching between your shoulder blades. You can envision here your spine as that undulating wave, moving with your breath. Taking note of any areas that might be feeling a little sticky or tight this morning. I'm just creating a little bit of space for that stickiness to be. Releasing any judgment that the mind tries to form around that. Simply being present for what's here. As we inhale forward and exhale back in our seated cat and cow. Let's bring ourselves now to a neutral spine. Back into that neutral spine, and then if you did have something underneath your seat, go ahead and set that out of the way. Bring yourself to hands and knees, and as we come to hands and knees, feel free to add a layer of blanket if that serves you, or double fold your yoga mat, making sure to protect your knees here. We'll bring both hands beneath your hips. Excuse me, knees are going to land beneath the hips. Hands are going to land beneath your shoulders. Spread your fingertips nice and wide here. Curl your 10 toes under and point both middle fingers towards that top short line of your yoga mat. Good. From here, press into your toes, lift your hips up and back. We're coming into our first Adho Mukha Svanasana here. Let your knees be as bent as they need to be, really to send this stretch much more into your back body than into your legs. Let your ears be aligned over the shoulder blades. Gaze here is backwards. Might even shake your head from side to side, releasing any tension that may have accumulated in your neck from your night or your day. And for moving side to side into the head, let's begin to tuck and lift your chin. So it's a nodding yes motion. Nice deep breathing here. Keep pressing into your hands. Pressing your hip points up and back to that point where the wall meets the ceiling. As you exhale, next, bring both knees back down to the ground, returning here to our tabletop position. Good. Let's turn the fingertips backwards if this position is available to you. Point your wrist points forward, fingertips backwards. If that's too much, then you might lift yourself upwards and use your hands to pull the fingers backwards. So really what we're going for is a nice stretch into your wrists here. Good. Let's use this wrist stretch as an opportunity to play in our lion's breath pose. So with your toes curled under, might walk the knees slightly closer towards each other. Walk your fingertips back towards your knees. So you can picture this big cat kind of crouching in the savannah. With your gaze forward, lightly draw the outer edges of your arms backward. Should feel a lot like a cobra position does with the arms. Arms are drawing slightly back. And if you haven't done lion's breath, I know you guys are familiar. It's going to be an inhale through the nose. The exhale, you're going to stick your tongue out as far as you can, as if you're trying to touch your collarbone. While you're sticking your tongue out, you're going to open your eyes as wide as they can and look up. It's going to be accompanied by a whispered roar sound. So it sounds like this. So we'll do 3 rounds of our lion's breath. So big inhale. Exhale, tongue out, eyes open, looking up. Relaxing for your inhale. Good. Whispered roar. Exhale. And Una Vez Mas. Last time. As you complete your last lion's breath, rotate your fingertips forward. Maybe give each wrist and hand a little shake out here. We'll crawl ourselves back out to our lengthened tabletop with wrists directly beneath your shoulders, knees beneath your hips. Here, stretch your right leg out behind you. Place those right toes onto the ground. Just begin to pulse here, forwards and backwards, lengthening into the big muscles in the back of your right leg. And yogi's choice, if you on the front part of this pulsing forward roll over the toes, that's an option. You just come to the tippy toes, that's another option. So just checking in with your foot, noticing what's available to you today. Good, next inhale, draw your right leg inwards here. Actively stretch your fingertips away from each other, curl your 10 toes under. Next inhale, lift your hips up and back, return into the shape of our Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Knees can be as bent or as straight as they're comfortable being here. Use the action of actively pressing down into the first knuckles of your pointer fingers and your middle fingers as points to stretch your hips away from. So pressing down into the knuckles of your first two fingers, actively stretch your hips up and back. Continuing to breathe to fill this shape energetically. Next exhale, invite both knees down to the ground. As your knees come downwards, uncurl your toes. Maybe bring the big toes towards each other. Separate your knees away from each other. Send your hips towards your heels, coming into the shape of our child's pose. Now, if your forehead doesn't come easily to the ground, feel free to slip a block or a folded blanket beneath your head. Do give yourself something in which to rest, that point just between your brows. And with your arms forward, you might lift your hands up and make those simple rolls into your wrists as your head rests here. And resting your arms long, if they're not already. Begin to radiate and press your fingertips away from each other, and then bring your body up into your tabletop again, settling wrists beneath shoulders, knees beneath hips. Let your next inhale stretch your left toes backwards, planting your left toes down. Begin to pulse here on your left side. Option for rolling over your toes or not. You need to check in with the muscles in the back of your left leg. Feeling into any tightness that might be present here this morning. And with your next inhale, bring your left knee in, settling left knee beneath your left hip. Stretch your fingertips away from each other and curl your toes under. As you're ready, we'll inhale up and back, coming into our Adho Mukha Svanasana, our downward facing dog here. On this downward facing dog, you might come into that bending and straightening movement of alternate knees, what the yogis call walking the dog. Let yourself be as wiggly here as your body is craving. Moving into your hips and your shoulders. Maybe moving your head from side to side. Let your body really awaken to this pose and take from it what you need. And for movement, we'll begin to find our way into stillness, to whatever variation of our downward dog we're doing right now in this moment. Lift both heels up, lift your gaze forward, and begin to tiptoe your toes towards that top line of your yoga mat. As you arrive here in our Uttanasana, bring your fingertips to your knees, lengthen your spine long, big inhale here. Exhale, let yourself pour forward, releasing fully the weight of your head down. Inhale, climb both hands onto your hips, point both elbows up. Use your exhale, rising here, coming into your Tadasana. Big inhale, stretching up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bring both hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Nice big inhale here, reach and extend upwards. Exhale, lead with your heart as you bow, coming into your standing forward fold. Find that action of lifting halfway, gaze down, spine long. Exhale, surrender inwards. Inhale, both hands find your hips. And exhale, rising into our mountain pose, Tadasana. Beautiful. Here, if you're using blocks this morning, go ahead, set those blocks on their tallest height towards that top end of your yoga mat. Not necessary if you don't have them. Set your feet hips width distance apart here. Take a big inhale, stretch your fingertips upwards. Exhale, lead with your heart as you bow forward into the shape of our forward fold, Uttanasana. Reaching for those blocks if you'd like the floor to be a little bit closer. Find that action of half lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Breathe in here. Exhale, surrender inwards. Good, with your hands on your floor, on the blocks, take a big step backwards with your right toes. Keep your right heel free, bend into your left front knee, coming into a high lunge here. Good, and this is where blocks can be real handy. We've got our 3 different heights. Choose the one that serves you best this morning, if any. Breathing deeply here. On an exhale, go ahead and lower your back knee, almost, but not quite touching into the ground. On an inhale, press your back leg up. Good, so we're exhaling, hovering, inhaling, lengthening, pulsing here. Good, next time your back knee is hovering, go ahead and release the weight of your back knee down. Yeah, invite this front knee backwards. So returning here to our tabletop position. Keep your left hand, and this is where we will use blocks if you have them. So keep your left hand on a block, and at this point, we want our blocks on their shortest height. Shortest and most stable height. If you don't have blocks and you want to replicate this, blankets, a folded blanket would work. With your other block, slide that backwards, set it underneath the right knee. So we've got left hand is on a block, right knee is on a block, alternate knee and hand are going to be on your yoga mat. Good, on an inhale, I'd like you to suck your left knee up inwards. Now the left knee is floating as if it was on a block. Good. Extend your left leg long here out to hip height. Gaze here is down. Option for keeping your right hand on the ground here, or reach your right fingertips forward. You're going to feel some activation in your abdominal muscles here. On an exhale, bring lifted elbow towards lifted knee. The hand is down, bring your knee inwards. Inhale, stretch your leg long, stretch your arm long if you're working with your arm. Exhale, drawing in. Moving with your breath here. Good. Next, exhale, lower your hand, lower your left knee to the ground. Take the block that was underneath your right knee, send that block forward. In fact, send both blocks forward, again, to their tallest height at the front end of your yoga mat. Spread your fingertips wide away from each other. Curl your 10 toes under. And on an inhale, bring your hips up and back, returning to that shape of Adho Mukha Svanasana, our downward facing dog. Nice deep, full yogi breaths here. Feel this inner shape with the energizing effect of each inhale. The softening, relaxing effect of each exhale. Inhale, lift your heels upwards, bring your gaze forward and walk towards that front short line of your yoga mat. As you arrive, find that half lifting upwards, gaze down, spine long. Then exhale, draw your low belly in, let your spine round more deeply over your hips. Release the weight of your head down. Inhale, both hands find your hips, roll your shoulders open. Exhale, rise up here, mountain pose. Inhale, stretch tall. Exhale, bring your palms to heart center or Anjali Mudra here. Release your hands by your side, close your eyes, take a moment checking in with this internal landscape of the self. As you're ready, invite your eyes to open, stretch your fingers up. Exhale, lengthen away from your hips, lowering down. Maybe catch the two blocks with your hands as we come to our second time, Uttanasana. Inhale, wave up halfway, gaze down. Exhale, surrender inwards, big step backwards. Now with the left toes. Left heel is free. Right knee is going to bend to accommodate our high lunge on the second side. And again, we have a lot of options with our blocks if we're using them, 3 different heights or the floor. Good, on this side, use your exhale, gently float that back left knee down, almost landing to the ground. Inhale, press your knee up and away from the ground. Sync this movement with your own breath's rhythm. And next time that left knee is floating down, go ahead and land your knee fully onto the ground. Good, we'll walk the right knee backwards now. If you're utilizing blocks, set them on their shortest, most stable height. Keep the block underneath your right hand this time. And the left block will come back to slide underneath your left knee. That's going to leave the left hand and right knee on the ground. Good. As you find your setup, go ahead and draw that right knee upwards, up and away from the ground, floating here. Feel your core beginning to compensate. You might do this action with your left hand down, or you might stretch that left arm forward. Extend the right leg long. Good. Inhale here. Exhale, drawing in towards center, elbow to knee or just your knee if that opposite hand is down. Inhaling to open. Exhaling to close. Moving with your body's rhythm. Playing here with balance and strength and coordination. There's a lot going on here. Good. Bring your hand, if it's lifted, knee back down to the ground. Releasing both blocks forward now so that you can bring both hands and both knees firmly to the ground. Curl your 10 toes under here. Lift your hips up and back, returning to the shape of downward dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Deep breathing here. Let your body be in any variation of downward dog that serves you. Okay, next inhale, lift your heels, lift your gaze forward, walk your toes towards the front line of your yoga mat. Find that action of rising halfway. Inhale here. Exhale, surrender into the shape of forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, both hands to your hips. Roll your shoulders open. Use your exhale, rise up here. Inhale, stretching for the sky. Exhale, bring your hands towards each other. Heart center, Uttanasana. Good, release your hands by your side. Close your eyes. Let yourself stand here in this Tadasana shape, our strong mountain pose. Gaze inwards, observing not just the physical effects of our practice so far, also tuning in with the energetic effects. Might feel a heat building in your muscles, a rising energy. Might feel a cooling, relaxing energy. Just tuning in with whatever's present here. As you're ready, open your eyes, draw your hands back to heart center, this Anjali Mudra shape. And from here, we'll bring our hands to our hips. If you're not already, go ahead and center yourself towards that top short line of your yoga mat. If your blocks are still there, that's okay. They're not going to be in the way. We'll utilize them a little later, so you can keep them on your mat or set them just off the front of your mat, like so. With your hands on your hips, drop your gaze downwards towards your toes. Take a step backwards with your right toes. Heel's going to stay lifted here. Left front knee is going to bend to accommodate. So very much like what we did a moment ago with our hands down, we're just in a high lunge. So keep that back heel lifted and free here. On an inhale, I'd like you to reach your fingertips upwards. Good. Exhale, you're going to make your hands into fists. We're going to draw our elbows backwards, bringing a fist down by our side. So our inhale is here, reaching the arms up. Exhale, making fists of the hands. Pull your elbows in, bringing the forearms parallel to the ceiling. Good. So we're moving towards a combination of mantra and movement. So here's the first part of that movement, this, and a drawing in. The mantra that goes with it, it's a little seed mantra. It's to connect with our third powerful willpower chakra, is the mantra ha. So as if you're laughing, ha ha ha. This mantra is going to be accompanied by an action of drawing your belly inwards, pressing the air out of your lungs. So it sounds like this. Ha! Give that a try. Ha! Good. So you could stay here, back leg long, back knee lifted, or you could layer on an extra movement there. So that movement is going to be that back knee lowering towards the ground. So it's going to look like this. Inhale here, exhale, ha! Inhale, ha! Good, that back knee can fully land if we're going down, or it can hover. We'll do 3 more of these in your own time. Ha! 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 Inhale here, lift your fingertips upwards. Exhale, bring your palms towards heart center. Slide this back leg in just enough to plant your heel down. Keep this separation between the legs. Begin to straighten into both legs. So now all 10 toes are pointing towards that short front line of your yoga mat. Good. And you probably feel a little wiggle. That means your body is balancing here. Take an inhale, stretch your fingertips up. Exhale, reach forward. Catch those weighting blocks. Walk your blocks beneath your shoulders. If you can see the wrinkles in your wrist, that means that you have a little bit more space with which to reach. So you can change the height of your blocks or choose to bring your hands fully to the ground here. So there's no right or wrong, just meet your body where you are today. See if you can find a subtle alignment action of drawing your front left hip ever so slightly back, back right hip ever so slightly forward. Breathing here in this intense forward fold. Uttanasana. Next, inhale. If you've changed the height of your blocks at all, set your blocks back on their tallest height. Walk both blocks forward now of your front toes. Keep your hands pressing onto the blocks. Begin to lift your back heel away from the ground. Good. Now this does require some pretty steady blocks here. So if you don't feel steady, you might do this holding onto a wall or a chair that you have close by. Root your hands down. On an inhale, begin to lift your back heel up and away from the ground. Gaze is down, breathing here. Good. Breathing into our supported Virabhadrasana. 3. Big inhale, press through your lifted heel. Exhale, bring your knee inward, settle your foot down underneath your right hip. Find your half lift here. Gaze down, spine long, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, surrender in. Inhale, both hands to your hips. Roll your shoulders open. Exhale, rise here. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, bring your palms to heart center. Nice big inhale here, reaching. Exhale, lengthen forward and down, coming right back into that shape of forward fold. Find that half rise, Ardha Uttanasana. Then exhale, surrender in. Feel your body breathing here, softening here. Let the back of your neck be nice and long, wrinkle-free. Crown of your head fully heavy. Gaze here back towards your knees. Next inhale, bring both hands to your hips. Roll your shoulders open. Exhale, rise here. Stretch up as you inhale. Bring your palms towards each other as you exhale. Good. If you've moved at all, if you're no longer towards that top short line of your yoga mat, go ahead and walk forwards. Bring both palms to your hips. Drop your gaze down to your toes. Step now your left toes backwards. Right front knee is going to bend. Back heel is free here. We're going into our second side variation of our warrior one with the ha sound. So we learned the movement last time. This time we're just going to roll right into it. Find your own pace with your own breath. Inhaling to stretch. Exhaling to bend. Ha! 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 Next time you're reaching upwards, bring both palms to heart center. Straighten into your front leg. Draw your left heel in close enough so that you can root that back heel down, straightening into your back leg. Good. Point both hip points towards that top short line of your yoga mat. Inhale, stretch your fingertips tall towards the ceiling. Exhale, lengthen forward, grabbing for your weighting blocks. Walk your blocks here underneath your shoulders. It's really common to be tighter on one side than another, so you may or may not need a different height of block on this side. Let your gaze come back towards your back left toes. Neck is long here. Make those little adjustments necessary to bring your body deeper into alignment. Bringing now the left hip ever so slightly forward, right ever so slightly back. Breath here steady as you breathe. In this Parsva Uttanasana, intense forward bend stretch. Good. If you're working with blocks, crawl them back up to their tallest height. Let that back heel lift up and away from the ground. Step your blocks one block print forward, so forward of your front foot. And again, if you don't have blocks, you can use something else here, short and stable, or your hands could be on the ground. Keep your gaze down, spine long. On an inhale, float your back foot up and away from the ground. Bring your foot up to hip height. Activate by pressing into your heel, point your toes down. Breathing here in this variation of our warrior 3. Next exhale, begin to bend into your lifted legs. Settle your heel beneath your hip. Find your half rise, Ardha Uttanasana, and then exhale, surrender into the shape of your forward fold. Inhale, both hands to your hips. Roll your shoulders open. Rise as you exhale. Stretch your fingertips up to the sky. Bring your palms to heart center. And release your hands by your side here. Close your eyes. Again, feeling the rise and fall of energy and breath within you. Connect here with a sense of solidity. This is our mountain pose. Might even hold an image of a mountain in your mind's eye. Admiring the graceful way the mountain rises up from the earth. The calm serenity that's within the mountain, even as the seasons, the weather changes around it. Connect with that peaceful place within. As you're ready, open your eyes. Bring your hands to your hips. Good. So this next section does assume that you have blocks. Now, if you don't have blocks, your option is going to be reaching down, touching the ground, and bringing your hands back to heart. So if you have something tall that you can lift the ground a little bit to you, you can go ahead and use that. Use a book. But if you have nothing close by to grab, just go ahead. You're going to be touching your fingers down to the ground, back to heart center. That'll make more sense in a minute. So I want you to take one of your 2 blocks, set it on its tallest height towards the short line of your yoga mat. And it's going to be towards the center of the mat, so front and center. Good. Start with your feet, hips width distance apart, hands on your hips. Gaze here down at your block. Step your right toes backwards. Keep your front leg straight, back heel lifted. A little different than when we did our standing lunge a moment ago. Good, bring your palms to heart center here. Gaze is still down at your block. Find a micro bend in this front knee. So micro bend just means that we're not locking that knee outwards. On an inhale, begin to float forward, lifting your back foot away from the ground. So coming into our warrior 3. We just did this a moment ago with our hands on the blocks. Keep pressing through your lifted heel. Point those toes down towards the ground. Reach your hands down now for the block. And again, if you're not using a block, you can press your hands down into the ground. Pick your block up, turn it over, set it down on its second height. On an inhale, lift your hands back up to heart center. It's okay if those back toes drop, just lift them back up again. Reaching down with your hands, pick your block up. Set your block on its shortest height, flat, solid height. Inhale, bring both hands to heart center. If you're watching me, you're seeing me lose my balance here. That's okay. That is part of this practice, just coming back to it. Exhale, reaching down. Find your block. Set it back on its starting point. Tall block. Bring your hands to heart center. Bring your back foot inwards here, coming back into our mountain pose. 2 feet down and shake it out. Opposite arm, opposite leg. Good, and if anything has changed, we're gonna, again, set that block middle of the mat towards that top short line of the mat. Bring both hands down to your hips. Stretch now the left toes backwards, left heel lifted, front leg is straight here. Good, find a steadiness within as you gaze downwards. And as we come to the second side of our Fierce Warrior 3, I want to invite you to release judgment. Nobody calls it a yoga perfect. It's always a yoga practice. So let yourself be wherever you are today. Invite your palms towards each other. As you feel steady, find that micro bend in your front knee. Float your back foot up to hip height, gaze is down. Reach down for your block, lift your block upward, turn it on its second height, set it back down on the breath. Bring your palms to heart center here. Reaching downwards, pick your block up. Change it to its shortest height. Lift your hands back to heart center. Reaching down for your block, set it back up on its tallest height. Bring your palms back to heart center. Bend into your lifted leg, settle your foot on the ground. Appreciate having 2 feet down here and shake it out. Opposite arm, opposite leg. Go ahead and set those 2 blocks just out of the way. To the top short line of your yoga mat if you're not there already. Take an inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, pour yourself forward over your hips. Into the shape of forward fold. Inhale, rise halfway, lengthen your spine long. Exhale, surrender inwards here. Breathing deeply. Head here is heavy, neck is long. Bend as much as you need to into your knees to bring your palms fully to the mat. Step your feet backwards, coming back into this shape of downward dog. Make any adjustments that you need to your downward dog to be able to breathe more freely here. Let this become almost a resting pose. Full deep breaths here. Attention focused on your breath. Let your thoughts fade away into the black background. Next exhale, bring both knees back down to your mat. Bring yourself to a seated position, and through seated, we'll come to lie down on your back. Good. From your back body, stretch your heels forward. Stretch your arms over your head. Squeeze your shoulder blades towards each other in your back body. Keep extending and stretching out through your fingertips. Press your toes forward, pressing into your heels. You might even lift your body away from the ground here. And then exhale, release the weight of your body back down. Bring your hands back down by your side. Bend into your knees. Settle your feet hips width distance apart on your mat. Good. Press into your heels here. Lift your hips slightly away from the ground. Swing your hips to the left. Lower your hips back down and then bend both knees to the right. Might take your right hand and rest it on your left knee. That's one option. Another option is you might kick your feet outwards, grabbing a hold of your toes with your right fingers. Left hand here is going to reach up towards the ceiling and then open to the left. Stretch your hand outwards to the left. Bring your gaze looking to the left, coming into our reclining twist on this side. If you have hold of your toes, go ahead, release here. Bend again into your knees. Bring both knees back towards center as you come fully onto your back body with your hands down by your side. Press here into your feet. Lift your hips up and away from the ground. Just slightly away from the ground. Shift your hips now to the right. Lower your hips to the right. Knees are going to open into that space that you've created at the left. And in here, you might let your top hand let your left hand come to your top knee. Might take that option of stretching your heels forward, straight legs, grabbing a hold of your toes. Opposite hand, right hand now is going to start by reaching up towards the ceiling, then opening to the right. Let your right hand reaching out to the right, invite your gaze looking to the right over your right shoulder. Breathing deeply here in your Jathara Parvriti. Next exhale, bend into your legs if the legs are straight. Use an inhale to bring your whole body back towards center. And as you return towards center, hug both knees inwards. Use your hands to hug your knees in, kind of gentle movement side to side, rolling and massaging into your back body. Allow yourself to open here like a lotus, lengthening one leg and the other. Inviting your arms by your side, your shoulders to tuck in, and your chin to tuck slightly in so that you're lengthening into your neck, resting fully on the back of your head here in your Shavasana. And if your low back is uncomfortable, always the option to set a pillow or your blocks underneath your knees. That actually can take some pressure off of your spine. Take an inhale here and gently retain your breath inwards. Holding here. As you're ready, exhale, release your breath out. Let your body fully relax. Breathing here. Releasing any lingering control that you've been holding over your breath. Let your body come deeply into a state of ease. Let your body come deeply into a state of non-doing. allowing for this practice to sink beneath the surface. Helping to release tension, bring you more fully back to the self. Bring awareness here back to the movement of your breath. Find those small movements in your body. Does it make sense? Maybe wiggling your fingers and your toes. Maybe rotating your wrists and your ankles. Once you're ready, take a nice stretch of your body, reaching toes forward, fingers back. And then hug your knees in here. Wrap your arms around your knees. And some gentle movement side to side. Setting yourself back up into a seat as you're ready. And taking a moment here to bring your palms towards each other, drop your chin in, and thank yourself for making this time to connect with your body and your breath. I'm so grateful to share this practice with you today.